All right. Hello, everyone. Getting caught up here. Oh, it's kind of dark. Let's see if Suri's helpful. Hey Suri, turn on my lights everywhere. Yay. There we go. Cool. All right. Good. Oh, not Apple Music. Come on. Stupid thing. Okay. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. Thanks everyone for joining. Hello Lee. Hello Daryl. How's it going? Let's recap from yesterday/last night. To that point, it looks like I do have some things floating around here. So let's go out. Your branch is ahead of origin by 2 commits. All right, git push origin head. Let's go out to GitHub and just take a look at some of these new things that were added. So super simple, put the CRUD controllers behind routes, behind some middleware, the auth middleware. So we noticed this yesterday in the stream, but I was actually interacting with the form and submitting it and going back and forth, and like the app was behaving kind of weird, and it was because I had actually been logged out. My session had expired, but I wasn't getting redirected because this was not behind auth. So we moved all those behind auth. I did that last night. And then probably the biggest thing that I worked on was adding a couple more fields to the event and kind of cleaning that form up just a little bit. I wished I got a little bit farther last night, but I think it's still enough to continue today. So probably easier than looking at the code change. Let's do artisan serve, and we'll go out to login, and let's just do JSON and password, I think is what the default is. Yes, I know, Chrome, it's bad. It asks me every time. So if we just kind of hack around and go to event create. So I kind of locked in this form to actually fit kind of what we want for this. So you can actually submit this form now, so let's just do it. So let's just call this like the live stream event, and it'll be, what's today, the 23rd, 2021. We'll just say it's 10 a.m. I think it's 9 a.m. So the live stream. And we can see that, this will probably all be Livewire-ish. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I kind of abandoned Livewire for the time being just because I want to get this in a place where, it's prototypable, it's demonstrable. I can demonstrate it to Ashley. So for right now, I'm just typing this in, but of course we could see how that would slugify this and put it here. We can upload a file now. So this was one of the new things that I added. We'll just bring that one in for the avatar. Notifications, do you get a summary per day? Do you get it per upload? Do you get it on none? Like, what is it? And then same thing, the visibility of this event, public. Anyone with the URL can see the event photos, also marked public, just the attendees, and then of course, only you. And then if we create this event, it should create it, which is good. And this is where I stopped last night. I was working on kind of this dashboard event section. So it's probably not really called the dashboard. This would probably be called event. But we can see here that it did save the live stream as an event. And the goal here would be some event information, ability to add more attendees over here, ability to edit some of this information, and then of course a scrollable list of attendees that you could remove right underneath here. So I was kind of working on that from Tailwind UI. Again, just really copying and pasting the awesome examples and components they have inside of here. I kind of wish I clicked around all this before the stream so I could pull these more readily, but you kind of get in here and you start to see that each one has multiple examples, and it just, to find the one you want, you kind of get lost. It's a good thing, but you kind of start to get lost and, oh, this one's better and I like this. And to that point, I forgot where I got in the other day. I think it was like dashboard pages or story elements. I forgot what they called it. Now I forgot, I should have saved it, but I got in one of these sections, page examples maybe, yeah, where it was like maybe a product page or a detail page, but it was like exactly the form I would want to use, you know? So it was pretty cool. So I think I may end up eventually, when I do adopt Livewire and stuff, going back and getting one of those sections. Yeah, it wasn't a landing page. There was one in here, like a detail page or something. That was, now I can't find it, but that was the point. It was in my mind, it was kind of like not in the right section. Maybe it was this detail screen. There it is, detail screens, page examples. But this was pretty cool. Like it had kind of everything, you know, you would kind of expect for what we're building. Yeah, here's the images and stuff. So I'll probably end up grabbing one of these for this screen eventually. So sorry, I'm still finishing breakfast here. All right, let's check the chat. No, I only turned on the lights in this office. That's the only place I have the fancy Surrey home kit lights. Lee, curious as to where you're going to store this and the images. Yeah, eventually this will be S3. I don't know if this will actually get launched. Again, this was more on I won't call it a dare, but Ashley, I don't think, believed that I could build something like this, which we were talking about after our wedding. So I kind of want to like prove that I can. So that's kind of step one. I thought it'd be cool to live stream. It lets me use new things. Like I said, I haven't used Livewire that much, so it's going to let me get into that. And I've got a little bit of downtime before having to build the Laravel 9 shift during the holidays. So I just thought, like I said, kind of these last few weeks in December to kind of be messing with this. I'm probably in it for a total of 12 hours at this point. So it's really not, you know, it's been fun. But if I were to launch this and I were to put, you know, a paywall and all that stuff on it, and I actually kind of try to turn it into a service, I would probably use S3, and probably built into the payment of it would be the fact that these only live for like a certain amount of time. So like, you know, you get 30 days or 45 days after your event. And that would kind of mitigate the fact that like you couldn't upload, you know, terabytes worth of images and then I'm stuck holding them forever. So, you know, and then of course you would need to price that accordingly so you could offset, you know, some people might not use that much storage, other events might have a huge amount of storage. So anyway, what I want to work on today, I probably only have about 30 minutes today, but what I want to work on is, the whole point of this is that once you create an event and once you add one of these attendees, so let's just say Floyd here got added to the event, he should be able to go in to Project A here and upload a photo for this event only. And we have that set up, so if we go to Photos, Create, or Photo, I think. Yeah, there we go. So you can upload this for live stream, so this is all pretty dynamic, it's just not linked out from that dashboard yet. But the goal here is that this is not actually behind the auth middleware. It has probably its own middleware for authentication that would use auth, but then also use kind of a redirection page that would allow you to kind of sign into this event as an attendee. And that's kind of the piece I want to build today, is the middleware plus this landing page where an attendee would sign in by name and then only have access to upload to that event. And they probably wouldn't even get control over the visibility. It would probably automatically be like marked for review. So we actually have this. If we go look at the photos table, we have this reviewed and its default is 0. So right now when we upload a photo in the photo controller, we're kind of marking that again as reviewed false. So we could probably put some stuff around this that if you're logged in, it's automatically marked as reviewed. Like you're a user of the system, you're trusted, you haven't figured out a way to kind of hack a name and hack an event. And what this reviewed flag is doing is it's basically going to allow the event coordinator, the person who created the event, to look at these and make sure, you know, it's not an inappropriate picture that got uploaded. So even though they can do everything else and set all this stuff, you know, it's not going to appear in the pool without someone taking a look at it. So again, talked about this a bit yesterday, but security-wise, like I'm not super worried about this because, you know, it's just some photos and the only person really seeing it is the event coordinator, and, you know, it's kind of understood that, like, maybe not understood, but it can be in the terms of service or something that, like, you know, they should lock down, you know, their event in certain ways to avoid any kind of, like, you know, spam photos or whatever. So there could be some information about, you know, why we mark them as reviewed or whatnot. So that's mitigated is the point with just some human language. So anyway, we can definitely add photos. So let's fix this. So the first thing I want to do is let's just go back out to web and let's take this event photo controller entirely out of the auth section. Or, well, you know what? Maybe not entirely out of the auth section. We probably, I'm going to close the chat here. What do we have inside of the photo controller? We have index, which would list all event photos. So that should probably still be, well, no, not really. That shouldn't be paywalled, or not paywalled, but that shouldn't be authenticated with the native auth. Same with create, store obviously. Show would allow you to see that specific picture and is related to index, so of course that would need to be out, and right now it just downloads the photo anyway. And then you should have the ability to destroy your own photos that you uploaded. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the whole controller does come out. That is true. And we would tack on some middleware here. So let's just say middleware. And then we'll resource that. And the middleware here is basically going to be like, you kind of have to be like an attendee. I don't know what I want to call that. You know what? Let's just get a little technical. Sometimes I like doing this auth event. Sorry for the chewing. I'm hungry, and I kind of came down before breakfast. So let's go to the kernel. The kernel. It makes me feel like I'm in the Hackers movie. The kernel. See, I like that auth.basic. So we're going to do like auth.event. Like you're authorized to see the event or authenticated to see the event, whatever it is. It's just, I like putting mine at the bottom. I know these are alphabetized, but like it lets me know, again, just that shift side of me, the upgrade, the maintenance side of me, my brain likes to separate these to know that, you know, this is my own. All right, and let's put this in, of course, app, HTTP, middleware, and we'll call this authenticate with basic auth. Hey, let's just follow the naming convention, right? Authenticate with event auth. Or, you know what? I like authenticated for event. I like that a little better. That's pretty cool. Let's go make this middleware. So I'm going to close all this down. PHP artisan make middleware. Boom. And then let's go to that now. Okay, so what we want to do here is basically you have to be two things. You would have to either be authenticated with native auth plus basically owner of event, or you would have to be see, this is the tricky part. Something's gonna have to kick you before this to the page, or you would have to basically have like session flag in I don't know what I want to call this. You'd have to have a session flag from, I guess, attendee name login. This login's kind of loose terminology there. So I think we can write this, but this part of it's gonna need some more work. So that's what we'll work on next. So let's write this first part here. This is pretty straightforward. So we can basically just say if, let's say request user, and let's just kind of go down the line here. So if, well, it's not if not, it's, these are kind of two different things. We could say if your, let's break this up. Let's get kind of base codey here. Let's break this up into like really human readable. So let's say something like this, authenticated as user, and we'll pass that down the request, of course, or if this authenticated as attendee, and we'll pass down the request. So if you're either two of those, then you're just going to go on your merry way. Otherwise, you would get redirected probably just to the login page. So let's just say something like redirect route login with some kind of like, I don't know what to call it here. We'll just say something like needs access, or like maybe like event access, and maybe we'll pass it like the event. Oh, that's the other thing. The event is not going to get in here. We're going to have to pull that parameter out. But it would be nice to basically have like the event name here, right? That would be good. So let's say name. Okay, so for right now we'll just put event name. All right, let's bring these methods to life, and that's going to give us like what we need from the bit here. So this is basically like if not request user, then return false, and these can be bools, so we can go so far as to do some type hinting here. I like to do those on my own methods, especially these helper methods. I just think it kind of helps see it. So now that we know we have the request user, then we would basically want to also know the event. So now we need to pull the event out of the parameter. So I think we can get that by just saying event equals request route parameter event. Now the question is this automatically hydrated? I think I remember doing this before, and I think Laravel does go ahead and hydrate that, I think. Let's find out. PHP artisan serve. I'm hearing some chat. Let's chat. Why not write some middleware to handle that? Oh, yeah, I am. I don't know what the, looks like we got some spammers on the chat there. So we'll just ignore them. Okay, so where were we? So if we refresh now, oh, something happened. Oh, I dumped. I didn't DD. We got redirected. Let's DD, and let's go back. There we go. And yes, look at that. It does automatically hydrate it like I thought. I remember going down this road before, and it actually is pre-hydrated early on in the life cycle. It's not just when it gets injected into your controller method. So event can come right off the route parameters. And so now we would basically just make sure that return event arrow user ID is equal to the request user ID. There we go. All right, which in my case, this should be true, and we should see the form, right? So if we say something here like, let's actually just change this real quick. Yeah, okay, cool. All right. One more thing. This is fine. This is fine. I like this. Okay. We could just map all this in one, but I think it's a little more clear that what we're getting out of there. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. It's pretty long, but it's okay. All right. So next, let's go back up here, and for here we can just return false for now, because again, when I refresh, I'm the owner of this. We should be allowed to see it. All right, good. We can make another event here in a second that, you know, I don't have access to necessarily. Or actually, you know what? There already is one. Let's go into factory seeder, or factory seeder, event seeder. There we go. Here's our wedding, which I've actually seeded it, so Ashley is the owner of that. So let's actually do this, and I got redirected. Okay, so that's interesting. I said to redirect to login, but I actually am logged in. I'm just logged in as me, and so I got then redirected to the account. So that's kind of interesting. But we can see that I got redirected is the point. So when I tried to go to an event, that wasn't mine. So what I want to do, what we can do to test this is I can make myself an attendee, of course, of my own wedding, and then we can make sure that this part works. So very similar to this. Let's just borrow this for a second, because we're going to get that event no matter what. And then here we want to say like request session, and then has. And what we probably want here is like an attendee ID. So if you haven't already been authorized or haven't logged in as an attendee, you're not going to have this in your session. So return false. Otherwise, we would then want to say that that attendee has access to this event. And we would need to do this through some properties, some Laravel properties. So let's pull this off here a second. Let's call this event again. And because we're going to need to do something a little bit different with this. What we want to do is say something like event, has attendee, and then pass in, this attendee ID, right? So now that's obviously not right. And again, as I said yesterday, I don't use the belongs to many very often. So let's go learn about this a little bit. Laravel docs belongs to many. Let's see here. While we're scrolling the docs, I'm gonna eat a little more of my Pop-Tart here. So it's not a has many through. How can you check retrieving it? I don't want to retrieve that. It's not, I want to query, yeah. I kind of want to query relationship existence. Here we go. You can also specify an operator. Comments greater than 3. I don't care about that. I kind of want to know inline relation, where relation. I want to know where that event has that attendee. So I feel like I could say something like post, oh, sorry, hold on a sec. Okay, sorry. Thought I heard Izzy up from her nap, but that's kind of a weird thing as a parent. Like you always hear crying. It's funny. It like infects your brain somehow. Does anybody know this in the chat? I feel like this is obvious and I'm just missing it. There should be a quick way to say in here, like, you know, attendees, you know, exists or something, or where. I mean, I know I can do this, obviously, like where attendee ID, you know, that exists. Like, I'm sure I can do that. I just don't really know what query that writes under the covers. Like, is that a nasty, nasty query? Like, I don't know. Oh, I've got that wrong. There we go. So yeah, I know I can do something like this, like get all the event attendees where that attendee ID is that, not get anymore. And then, well, I don't even need get, I would just say exists. So, you know, this would work. Maybe that's the way to do it. I just, for some reason, I thought there was like a fancier method, kind of like this load count or has relation or whatever. So, but who knows, maybe not. If you know in the chat, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go with this for now. Okay. So now we kind of have to make that work. And in order to make that work, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. The way this system works is, let's just kind of look at it from a high level. We talked yesterday about having this signed URL route. So what you're going to have is something that's like event, Discipline McCreary wedding, and then you're going to have like some kind of endpoint. So let's just call it endpoint for now. And then it's going to have a signature of like, you know, the signed URL from, you know, Laravel, right? You're going to hit this. And when you hit this, this is the page where you're going to be redirected. You're either immediately going to be redirected into create and therefore automatically pass this middleware, or if you don't have that session ID, you would kind of be sent to ultimately what I'm trying to say is we need a way to redirect the attendees to an attendee login form, but single them out in like, you know, a specific way. Sorry, I'm getting texts. So let's keep those from showing up. So I think what I want to do, I think we kind of have to build almost two pieces of middleware. We need to build one that does kind of the redirection, and then we need to do one that kind of authenticates. But that feels a little like naive. It feels like this middleware that we're writing should be able to do all of them in one. The only thing is, like, the other way is a little bit cleaner because well, it's not cleaner, you don't really know. I was trying to think it would be a little cleaner because we would know that they're an attendee and we could craft their, you know, experience to go to a sign-in. But really, theoretically, anyone could be a sign-in. Like, for example, like I said a minute ago, like, you know, if Ashley set up the wedding as an event, I'm not going to be able to log in and see that event necessarily. Like, that can be something that gets fixed later to make it a little smoother, but I would sign in as an attendee, even though maybe I also have an account. So there's a little bit of a gap in the experience there, but the point is that that gap exists currently, and because it exists currently, like, you know, let's just embrace it and kind of go with it. So yeah, how could we do the middleware? How could we do the middleware to just do both? You know what's kind of funny is Laravel actually has a bit of middleware in this verification controller that does something really, really similar. So auth, look at this. They already have auth signed and throttle, and it's all built in. what's underneath this? Extends controller, uses verifies emails. Let's see what they're doing. So they have like a show method. Request user has verified email, redirect to the redirect path, otherwise show. Okay, so they're kind of doing it at a controller level. Yeah. And then verify basically just this does the actual checking to make sure that they're allowed, and then would ultimately redirect them to wherever, you know, we say to go. So here's probably what needs to happen. If I want to do this all in one middleware, kind of like this verify email thing works in Laravel, I would probably not want to redirect them to login. Here is where I would redirect them to, this is where I would redirect them to this special controller that's going to, like, you know, verify, you know, attendee kind of thing, right? So like this is attendee.verify, and then I would pass in the event access here with the event name, right? That's what I'm after. And so that would have a show and a whatever method, and then ultimately redirect back to this, but at that point this middleware just passes because they would have all the necessary things they would need to kind of be on their way. So that's what we need to build. Let's build that. This feels like a bit of a single action controller, so I think we could probably just do it that way. It's kind of funny, Laravel actually, they kind of do that with this single action as well. That's kind of funny. They basically say, well, it's not really single action. I guess they have two things. They have show and they have, yeah. So it is kind of like, it's kind of like create and store, if you will. So let's go ahead and make that a cruddy. What did we do last time? One just showed. Yeah, I think we just showed that last time. Sorry. Let's get into web, and let's quit theorizing about this and get it done. I blame it on no breakfast. I'm kind of going off the rails here. Okay, so what we want now is it's kind of like yeah, see, we already kind of have this like attendee register bit. Yeah, some of these names are starting to confuse me. I'm gonna have to clean those up. Naming things is hard. Okay, so what we want is we want something really similar. We want like an event, and you're kind of gonna like sign in to that event. Let's just call it, right? So we sign into the event, and let's call this like attendee. Just stick with sign in. An event's going to come off of that. So we're already kind of redirecting them accordingly. And then let's call this attendee, and this is, I guess, sign in. So we need to change the whole verify thing to sign in. And then we're also going to want this post bit to be attendee, whatever, sign in, same thing. And this will basically be like verify attendee, and we'll call this like attendee verify. All right, and we need to make that, so let's go make this. So PHP artisan make controller -- invocable verify attendee. And like I talked about yesterday, I like, what did I do wrong here? Invalid route. Oh, that doesn't exist yet. There we go. Cool. I talked about this yesterday, but I like making my invocable controllers action-oriented and not kind of the traditional controller suffix. That's just a little tiny thing. But okay, so here is where we're basically going to get the event, and I think this is where we'll stop today because I'm running low on time. But basically, we'll check this. What we need to do here is kind of what we did already in the other thing. we would need to, let's just pseudocode this out because again, my brain's a little fuzzy this morning. No breakfast and no coffee, slowing me down. We would want to find the attendee by name from the form, yeah. And then we basically check the attendee has access to event. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty much it. And then if so, we redirect to the photo upload. We know we're always going to go to photo upload because that's the whole point of this app. So that's pretty simple. Of course, if they don't, we would just redirect back and let them figure it out. So you could argue this could almost all be done in a form request because of the access. You could put both of these items in there and then kind of just handle redirection back with that. That might be something to refactor to later, but I think for now let's just do it this way. Okay, so let's do this. Let's basically say attendee is equal to attendee where this is name is request input name, and that should actually, well, would it be Soul? This is something I think someone mentioned in the chat yesterday. I think right now it's fine to be Soul, but because attendees are kind of normalized and not tied to an event directly, they have the bridge table. Like there might be two different John Does in the world, but like we're gonna, this application currently is gonna have, of course, John Doe in there just once, but it may truly be a different John Doe for the different events. So even though the access and everything would still get caught, it's kind of funny that the photos would be assigned to the same person. That's probably something I would need to overcome eventually. Again, not a big deal for a prototype to demo to Ashley, but like, yeah, this really breaks down once the application starts to have some scale, meaning enough users where names overlap, which really would probably not be many users at all. Anyway, as long as there's Soul, is there Soul or fail? Oh, my auto completion's not working. Let's go check it out. Soul. Everything's going really slow. Do I have Docker running or something? No. Soul, there it is. I don't remember if there's a Soul or fail. I think it's automatic. I think when it fails, it throws an exception. Yeah, item not found. There it is. Or multiple items found. That's fine. It throws an exception. We can deal with that. And then at that point, we kind of do the same check we had in here, which is we make sure that they have the relationship to exist, right? So now we don't need to do all that. We can just say event. So here we can just say, I don't really want to wrap this whole thing in an if, so let's see, access equals to that. So we got attendee, this becomes attendee ID, attendee ID. So basically if not access, whoops, then we would redirect or return, redirect back with input and with some kind of message of like, you know, no access, you know, whatever, doesn't matter. All right, and then otherwise we would return redirect to route, and that would be event photo create, and there's our event. So that should be what we need. Again, there are definitely some logic gaps in this, but they're kind of like business logic gaps, not really logic gaps in code. Like this will work. This throws an error if, you know, the name's not there, otherwise, or if the attendee's not found, and then we check for access for the specific event. And if they don't have access, then whatever. Otherwise, we redirect. Oh, and we will, one more thing, and this is where testing would have come in handy. The most important thing, we need to put into the session that attendee ID. And let's call this attendee ID. Cool. Let's go fix one more thing before I forget. This now needs to go to sign in, and it's going to need the event. And now there are multiple places where I want the event here. So I am actually going to refactor some of this code to pull this out and call that event. Call this event. And now I'm going to pass these down in here with event. And we'll just pull this at the top and bring it in that way. So event equals that. Oh my gosh. Equals that. And event. There we go. Nice. And I think it's just complaining because it doesn't know the type on that. That's fine. Okay, so we pluck the event off, we call these authenticated methods, and ultimately if you're not authenticated, then we're going to redirect you to this attendee sign-in for the event, and then event access with the name, which honestly we don't even need the with anymore because the event's passed in via the route, so there's no real message to say other than like sign in. Cool. Okay. I'm trying to think. We don't have this attendee sign-in form yet, so let's make this real quick, and then I'll have to cut this a bit short because I do think Izzy is crying in the background. So let's go down to this, and I'm just going to copy maybe the show page real quick, and let's just call this sign-in, and we'll just say something like attendee sign-in template. So let's just kind of prove that this is probably truly just an app, a generic app layout, because you're not really in the dashboard just yet. Okay, so what I want to prove is if I go back and if we go back to the dashboard here, a minute ago I was getting redirected when I tried to go to our own wedding. So if I go to photo, the goal would be if I go to photo create now, even though I'm signed in, I don't have access to that specific wedding, so I should get redirected to this very generic template. And I do. Awesome. So now if I would have to make the form with the thing and then drop it in there. What time is it? All right, hold on, let's see here. Do I want to do this or not? I don't hear her, so let's go ahead and make this form just real fast. Form method post action is equal to the route for attendee verify, and then the event that got passed in. That's good. There's nothing else about this, so we really just need a button for submit or verify, whatever we want to call it, and a text input. Input type text, name is name, and that's about it, right? Okay, so we should be able to do that, and I should say something like JSON query and verify, and oh, we need a CSRF token, that helps, at CSRF, cool, and then let's go over to the verification controller and, or sorry, the verify attendee controller. And for now, let's just dd request all. All right, let's go back, refresh, JSON query, verify. Okay, cool, I'm getting the name now. That should be good. So let's drop that off. And if I refresh, we should just get redirected back because I'm not on there. Okay, 404 not found. Oh, it's the sol method. The sol method's gonna throw an exception. I remember talking to Taylor about this before. I really wish this sol method had like a sol silent or something, you know, like a sol or null. I don't like that it, I think I wanted to see like sol or fail and like let it explode, whereas the other way would just kind of give you back null and then you know that you didn't find one, right? I remember talking to either Taylor or Mohammed kind of like pushing that API, because this throws an error, which means I have to like do a try or catch, and I just feel like that's it kind of defeats the purpose, the beauty of this sol one-liner. So anyway, okay, spammer dudes, you all are really annoying. It's like, thank you. Okay, so for now, I think I'm just gonna do first. This is a bit ugly. I'll do first or fail. It's still gonna kind of achieve the same thing. Yeah, it's still gonna give me that. So the point is, sol is working. So let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do PHP artisan tinker. Let's do event all. Oh god, I said this yesterday. I need to not call that events. Okay, so our event is Jason Ashley's wedding. That's event number 4. So let's get event equals event find 4. Ah, same thing. Okay, annoying. App models event. I'm trying to go quick, and anytime you try to go quick, it's never gonna work. All right, so event attendees create, and then name JSON query. All right, cool. So I should be linked up now. So now when I go back and refresh, I should see the photo screen. Oh, of course. PHP artisan serve. There we go. Kaboom. Oh, class of object illuminate store could not be converted as string. Class illuminate session store. Oh, okay. So there's definitely some things in photo controller that I'm gonna have to clean up now, because yeah, like I'm not authenticated in here just yet. So there'll be some things that need to happen in here, because it's not always going to be like the authenticated user. Now it's going to be either potentially the authenticated user or what came out of the session for attendee ID. So that's a bit ugly there. So that's kind of the next piece. So I think we're going to stop there, though. It definitely obviously redirected us. I'm sure if I dumped out the session, we could see that is in there. We could go ahead and just do that real quick. So dd request session. So if we refresh this, I'm hoping to see, oh, it's like really high level. Something's wrong with the session store. I wonder if I put like the wrong, did I put the wrong thing in here and verified? It's key value. That should have been fine. Seems like I borked the session somehow. Anyway, we're definitely getting redirected, which is nice. I'm not exactly sure which line is broken here, so I'll definitely mess around with this. Oh, it's authenticated for event. That's crapping out. Where is that? authenticated. Where are we redirecting to now? Event, session has attendee ID. Oh, duh. Get. I think we put that in the get before, and I broke the line down the wrong way. Attendee ID. There we go. Now let's try to refresh. There we go. If we look at the attributes, attendee ID 1, which is me. It just got added. So there are no other attendees in the database. Okay. Cool. So this works. Pretty nasty manual testing there. Again, future live streams will definitely include adding tests for all this stuff. We'll use the test generator to backfill a lot of them and get started, and I'll kind of go through them one by one. But I think what I'm going to do today and tomorrow to hopefully be able to demo this to Ashley will be to clean up